Turns out all the Toronto Blue Jays needed was a change of scenery as they win game number 3 in Seattle 13-4. We have a series down 2-1 to the Seattle Mariners. I'm Dan, that's Kyle, and we're joined by former California Angel Bobby Valentine. Bobby, this series makes no sense. No sense, 0 cents.
Well, everyone was figuring it out after an inning. It was going to be over. This
Yep.
is a 4-game sweep. No chance for the Blue Jays. Yeah, everyone figured that out pretty well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Bobby, we talked about this on the last post-game show. Perhaps it was the change of scenery, getting out of the pressure and playing at home, getting to relax a little bit on the road without all the extra media attention. Is that a factor tonight?
It might have been a factor, but they were down 2-0, and all of a sudden a switch was flicked. Jimenez hits a home run, takes the fastball away. They're throwing fastballs for 3 games right by these Blue Jays. All of a sudden, one winds up in the stands, and everyone says, "Oh yeah, we can hit, can't we?" And they started swinging the bats.
Yeah, you mentioned Jimenez hitting a home run. When your second baseman hits a home run when he's not supposed to, the team must say, "Okay, we can't let this go to waste."
Exactly. And or if he can do it, we can do it. Or
Yes.
hey, that's the break we needed. Whatever it was, the light came on, and it was a completely different competition. The Mariners were on their heels, and the Blue Jays were stomping them.
There's been so much talk leading into this game tonight about Bieber always having that one bad inning, but really tonight it was just 2 bad pitches in the first inning. Then he was the absolute shutdown Bieber, the guy they went after for this exact moment. He came through big for them. Talk about his performance tonight.
It was spectacular. It looked like one guy had a major league fastball and major league stuff, and then it looked like Bieber was out there trying to get by, just trying to hang on for an inning. And then the runs came, and so did his strikes, and so did his stuff, and so did his breaking ball, and so did his competitiveness. And all of a sudden, he was the strike thrower, and it was the Mariners who couldn't hit. It was a spectacular flip.
Did you ever tell a team, or is it just in the movies? Say to the guys, you're down 2-0 in the hole. Do you say, just go have fun? Because it looks like that's maybe the message that was because they were having fun.
Yeah, sometimes it's you're down 2-0, you've already lost 2 games, and someone says, "Well, I guess we got him right where he want him,"
Yeah.
and there's a little laughter. There's just that little break in the ice, and it really did seem it. I mean, I felt it in my living room when that ball went over the fence. The whole world changed. It was really spectacular, and that's why this is such a great game that we play.
Bobby, you could speak to this from a manager's perspective. It's almost cliche to do the whole one game at a time sort of shtick, but it was Schneider's responsibility after the first 2 losses to keep this team calm. Is it now also his responsibility to keep them calm after such a big win? Because it really was just one game.
Yeah, calm might be one of those things everyone says you can't get too high and you can't get too low. Well, you know what? You can get too low. There's no doubt about that. And what John did is kept his team from getting underwater. Whatever it was, something on the plane, something in the clubhouse, something in the dugout, or just that one swing of the bat, they never got underwater. They were paddling, they were backstroking, they were staying alive somehow, but it was him or someone or something that just revitalized this team.
Bobby, your take on the Jays Game 4 starter, Max Scherzer, Hall of Famer. This is a guy who said his last few starts he was garbage, wasn't blaming it on injury. He's now saying he feels the best he's felt all season. He's the most rested he's been all season, and it could be his last ever start in the major leagues. This is this might be a terrifying pitcher to face for the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, if he gets on a roll, it would be an even series the way I look at it. But when you look at his recent past, you wonder how can he get on a roll? He's pitching in the biggest game that the team has had in a long, long time, and he hasn't had a big game in a long, long time where he's risen to the occasion. So you're wondering, how could this happen? It could happen because he's that guy. He's a Hall of Famer. He is a guy who's done it before. There's no doubt about that. But he doesn't rest on his laurels, and I think he's going to have both guns ablazing tomorrow. He's going to be throwing everything at him, but the kitchen sink. He might knock someone down early in the game and let him look at one of his eyes to figure out what he's thinking. But he's a special kind of athlete, and I think special things happen with special
And
athletes.
he kinda scares his manager. He might tell him, "I'm not
Yeah.
coming out unless my arm's falling off."
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to make a real early signal if you're going to bring him out of the game. It's not a discussion on the mound, that's for sure. It's
Yeah.
you leave the dugout, you bring the guy in, and then you have reinforcements at the mound when you get there.
So Bieber took the mound tonight when the offense had gone flat, but Scherzer takes the mound tomorrow night when the offense is once again clicking on all cylinders, like in round one and towards the end of the season. That would almost also serve to let him pitch a little bit looser than normal, right? Knowing the bats will be just fine.
One thing about him, I don't know if it's loose or tight or wound up or relaxed, but his competitive fluids get going, and it becomes contagious. And even with that crowd, that tomorrow will be going crazy because they think that it's there, that they can feel it. They still only need two wins, where the bad guys need three. I think that Matt Scherzer is going to rise to the occasion. I don't think he's going to throw a complete game. I don't think you're going to see a Yamamoto type effort, but I think you're going to see a real competitive guy out there that's going to add to those competitive juices of the hitters. And we might have an even series before it's all over.
Our Jays insider Keegan Matheson says he's the most intense individual he's ever covered. If you look back on your playing time, your managing time, who would you put in that category? You played with Nolan Ryan. He's got to be
Oh,
up
yeah.
there.
Oh, he's right. He's right up there as a pitcher. Nolan Ryan had the ball, and everyone knew that he had the ball. There was no doubt that Nolan gave his best effort every time he threw that ball forward. And Mac's the same kind of guy. It's 100% effort. He's not saving anything. He's not worrying about injury. He's not even going to the scouting report. His report is going to be, how do I feel right now on this pitch to throw the best pitch that I've ever thrown in my life? And every one of them's with a grunt and a fart and I'm going to get you right now. And the other hitters know it.
Bobby, the Rawlings in Major League Baseball today announced a Gold Glove finalist. The Blue Jays had a number of people listed amongst them. Just talk about what it means to a team when that part of the game is clicking on all cylinders, like their defense has been basically the entire year, and with the exception of one game in the playoffs, has been a standout part of their game.
Yeah, the defense shows up. As you said, one game they made a few errors, but when you have guys in position to make plays, the plays get made because each of those guys know their responsibility. They work together well. You can throw it across the diamond, and most of the time, the big guy's either going to stop it or catch it. You can run toward the wall, and your partner is there telling you how much room you have. It's a pretty cohesive group that knows how to get the ball back to the middle of the mound and have the pitcher throw it again.
Bobby, looking forward to game four. We'll be talking to you after that one. Hopefully, we'll have a tied series.
Wouldn't that be fun? Looking forward to it, guys. Thank
See
Thanks,
you.
you
buddy.
tomorrow, Bobby.
Kyle, I was fielding phone calls during the game, pregame, and my Blue Jays, well, my now Blue Jays friends who became Blue Jays fans at the end of the season, their Leaf fandom entered into their Jays fandom because immediately they were down 2-0. They said, I don't even know why I cheer for this team. This is the worst baseball team I've ever seen in my life. And then in an instant, it flips. I don't know how Leaf fans can do it mentally year after year and then bring it over with them to the baseball side of things.
It seems really exhausting, Dan. I mean, we've been fairly critical of this team over the last couple of games, but not so harsh that we'd given up on them as a potentially moving on to the World Series like they are now showing that they're capable of doing again. It seems like such an exhausting way to approach fandom, and it's two out of four they had lost. They've now completely flipped the momentum of this series, and as Keegan has told us repeatedly, baseball is the biggest of the momentum sports.
Mhm.
The ball's in their court now, and we've got a fascinating story taking the mound tomorrow night. It's a fascinating piece of theater potentially, and I'm very very excited actually to see how this all plays out. People should be very high on this baseball team still, and they should have never lost that. It was okay to be down, but not quite okay to count yourselves out.
Yeah, the Jays go from their biggest game of the season to their next biggest game of the season because you're
Yeah,
uh, you're and you're leaving game 4 tied or down 3-1. And down 3-1, that is a canyon
yeah.
that's hard to emerge from. You got Max Scherzer going against Luis Castillo. What was Castillo's season stats? He went 11 and 8. Okay. Oh, I know that guy. Yeah, good old Luis.
We got him up on the screen now too. Career postseason starts for Luis Castillo. He's 2-2. He's thrown 25 innings pitched to Max Scherzer's 143 innings pitched. However, the numbers actually look fairly good for Castillo, but against this Blue Jays lineup, you have to right now be bringing your AA plus game because they seem to be clicking again, and they do tend to run these types of games off back to back to back nights. They are a very momentum based offense, and it's clicking on all cylinders, if I could say that 4 or 5 more times during this show.
It'll be interesting to see what the batting order John Schneider
Mm.
puts together because he really put it in a blender for this game. He had Santander batting cleanup. Barger was down the list, which seemed to help him. Did not help Santander, although he did score a run. I saw him run for the first time. That was a treat. And Addison Barger hit a moonshot, something his first hit of the series and his first home run of the postseason. So it helped Addison Barger big time as he needed some confidence.
He did, and as you say, with Santander, we saw him score a run, then immediately get pulled, probably experiencing some back stiffness
Yeah.
or maybe just a defensive substitution. Because I think at that point they were only up 3 runs, and if he was even slightly stiff, it's a good call to pull him out. He hadn't
It
really
brings
made
the straw
contact.
man in, my favorite
Eh,
Blue Jay
You can
milestone.
never, the Jays went out there, and I believe they set a team record for extra base hits in a playoff game tonight. It, j- if you're going to silence the Seattle crowd, or if you're going to slow this momentum, halt it in its tracks, they could not have done it any better than tonight. Bieber will now have a ton of confidence because he would be the guy come a game 7 in this series next week, I believe. And again, we always talk about him having that one bad blow up inning, but really this time it was just 2 pitches. So, they got away from him, and then he was absolutely mastering his command, his pitch location for the rest of the game. And you could see the fire in him, and he was regaining some of that Cy Young form. And it was one of his better starts since he returned from the DL.
Jays fans are happy. Major League Baseball's happy because it was looking like there was going to be a sweep possibly in the AL and the NL. Now it's the Brewers' turn to try do the same as they play game number 3 against the Dodgers Thursday night. That game's a 6 o'clock start. Jays and Mariners, 8:33 Eastern. We'll be here after it. We'll see you then.